In Lamar's, Iowa, ice cream capital of the world, welcome to this special edition of Money in Politics from the 2008 presidential campaign trail. Tonight we continue our Business in the Ballot series of conversations with the leading presidential candidates. With just 44 days to go until people here in Iowa cast the first votes of the campaign. This evening our focus is on former senator, lawyer, lobbyist, and actor Fred Thompson. The Republican sat down for an interview with me here at the Four Brothers Bar and Grill in Lamar's, Iowa, to talk about issues important to business and the state of his campaign. Senator Thompson, thanks for the time. Appreciate you joining us here.
Good to be with you.
Let me ask you first of all, if I could, about the economy. You have said that national security is the #1 issue facing the country right now. Where does the economy rank after that?
Number 2. Yeah.
And what is it right now you see in the U.S. economy? Are you confident in the state of the economy? Not everyone is.
Yeah, I am. I think that the underlying factors there that the experts look at, as best I can tell, are strong. We're a part of a good world economy now. And I think as long as our fiscal policies and our monetary policies make sense, that we'll continue to be strong. I think it's going to be a very bad time over these next couple of years for a tax increase, and that's what concerns me most.
President Bush's handling of the economy, what sort of grade would you give President Bush?
I think that he would get an A as far as tax cuts are concerned, and I think he'd probably get a C+ as far as spending is concerned. He should have done better on the spending side of the ledger. I think he's doing quite good now with some of the bills that are coming across his desk. But we've got some long-term problems that he has tried to highlight in times past in terms of Social Security that are going to overtake us if we don't do better on the mandatory side of things. They don't just have to do with the everyday fiscal policies, but have to do with the locked-in entitlement programs that we're facing. So as we're concerned day to day with what we're doing to affect the economy in terms of our fiscal policies, we have to really understand that a little bit further out we have some drastic things that are going to happen to our economy if we don't get a handle on our mandatory spending.
I know you've talked about some of these entitlement programs. You were the last one into the race, yet you've been given credit for being the first to talk about Social Security, and you've highlighted your own plan to deal with Social Security over the long term. Yet there's still some experts in Washington and elsewhere who say Medicare is actually the bigger problem right now. How are you going to fix Medicare?
Well, so we hop right off into that. Medicare is a bigger problem. There's no question about it. I think that we would probably do ourselves a lot of good in addressing the Medicare problem if we could prove that we could deal with the lesser problem of Social Security. Social Security is going to go bankrupt. I mean, you consider it a lesser problem. I mean, because it's somewhat easier to fix, although nobody else, stepped up to apply a fix other than myself. But once we do that, then we need to do things like the hard choices. I think that we're going to have to ask the more affluent to pay a bigger share of the cost in the future, for one thing. There's some other features of our Medicare program.
But you're not talking about a tax increase there, or you are?
No, I'm talking about means testing some of our benefits. Deductibility, at what point the person has to start kicking into his own retirement solutions. Those are the issues I think that we're going to have to look at first. Tax increases, of course, always the first thing the Democrats look at. They want to means test everything. And 5% of our people now are paying about 60% of our taxes. So I don't know how progressive they want it to be, but they're in danger of hurting the economy. They're in danger of hurting small businesses and individual entrepreneurs, if they keep going the tax increase route. So we have to look at the spending side of the ledger and doing some common sense things now before we have to really hurt anybody. Instead of waiting until later when we'll have to hurt everybody, when we'll have drastic benefit cuts or astronomical tax increases or astronomical deficits and borrowing from abroad.
You've talked already about taxes and Democrats' plans to raise taxes, as you and other Republicans suggest. What about your own differences with Republicans on tax policy? Rudy Giuliani's leading in national polls, Mitt Romney leading here in Iowa. How does Fred Thompson differ from those two when it comes to tax policy?
I think I'm the only one, for example, who has actively and specifically promoted a corporate tax cut. People have been talking around the edges about that for some time, but I came forth considerable time ago and talked about it in specific detail. I said that
what's a corporate tax rate that's appropriate in Fred Thompson's mind?
Well, I look at what's going on with regard to our international competitors, and I see that 28% would be the norm instead of the 35 that we have now. We have the second real tax rate, highest tax rate in the industrialized world. We're only one of two countries that hasn't lowered its tax rate since 1994. All of our competitors are doing that. I mean, they've caught on to the game. And why we haven't done that, I don't know. I see today that some officials at the Treasury are once again saying that we need to do that, and it looks like they're getting closer to a proposal.
They've also talked about eliminating loopholes, if you will, some of the tax breaks that companies enjoy in exchange for lowering that corporate tax rate. Would you support that?
No, that's what Charles Rangel, I think, is promoting. I'm not sure that the Treasury Department...
Mr. Secretary Paulson suggested something along those lines.
Well, today, you know, from what I heard, I didn't see any proposals for offsets, so-called. I don't think you need to approach it from that standpoint. You're going to have to do something about competitiveness. You're going to have to do something about economic growth. And raising taxes at the same time that you're cutting taxes, I don't think promotes either one of those things. So I don't believe in the static accounting that goes on in Washington. I don't believe that you have to raise revenue every time you cut taxes. I think that we're still at a level now where a tax cut in the right way, in the right amount, you know, is beneficial to the overall economy in terms of economic growth. And as far as the corporate tax rate is concerned, it's certainly beneficial to us from a competitiveness standpoint. We just, you know, stick out like a sore thumb in terms of the high corporate tax rate. Other than that, a lot of us are saying pretty much the same thing now in terms of lower taxes. I guess the difference is that I had 8 years on the national scene with regard to national tax issues, where I was saying the same thing 8 years ago, 10 years ago, 12 years ago. And when I was in the Senate, we had a chance to pass about 4 major tax cuts, including the one in 2001, which I think in large part helped lay the groundwork for the prosperity that we have right now. So I was walking the walk back some time ago before others were even talking the talk, even though on most things except the corporate tax cut, a lot of us are saying the same things today.
Are we going to see more specifics from your campaign over the next few days with regard to tax policy? And do you care to share any with us right now?
No, we've got a couple of details to work out yet, but I think it's fair to say over the next several days we'll be putting something out that's specific along those lines, and especially will involve a corporate tax cut.
Let me ask you about the question of income inequality. There are Democrats on Capitol Hill right now still talking about the Bush tax cuts and how they unfairly were tilted towards the wealthy. They'd like to remedy that. At least those are some of the proposals on Capitol Hill. Do you believe income inequality is a problem in America right now?
Well, the Democrats always want to focus on redistribution of wealth. And they don't recognize the fact that people come up through the system in our country, and they come from the lower end